Hello everyone, and welcome to the next episode of the Super SOC podcast. I'm Ahmed, the co-founder and CEO of Qevlar AI, the company that gives your SOC superpowers. Today, we have a very special guest, Dr. Anton Chuvakin, who's the security solutions strategist at Google Cloud. He previously served as a research vice president at Gartner, where he coined a term that most of us do use these days, EDR, for endpoint detection and response. Anton also has several influential books and papers in the cybersecurity field. Welcome, Anton. How's your day going?
Perfect. Thanks for inviting me. My day is just starting. It's early here in the area.
Glad to have you with us. Thank you for your time. And so in this episode, we will unpack what it really takes to add AI to the SOC in a way that delivers measurable, lasting value. And so we can start with the first question, which is that the term AI SOC is honestly everywhere today, but it somehow feels like déjà vu. That's something that we've seen in the past already. What real problems do you think we are solving with AI today? And where are you seeing overpromising sometimes or confusion by some of the vendors in this space?
I think it's a fun topic. And after RSA 2025, line that's stuck in my head is that I definitely want AI in SOC. We will see AI in SOC, but we probably won't see AI SOC. And when I say this, I think of all the use cases, all the summarization, all the support for alert triage, all the detection engineering use cases, and all the other fun stuff we can do with AI in a SOC. But when some people say AI SOC, many others by implication here, AI is the SOC, or AI is the entirety of the SOC. AI runs the entirety of the SOC, or every single SOC task you can imagine is run by AI. And to me, that's absolutely insane. And it's insane 2025. It will likely be quite as insane in 2026, likely for a few years after that. And I don't think it's the favorite argument that people make against my, maybe informed skepticism is they say, well, Anton, you're not considering how fast AI grows. And I would say that I do use this argument myself, is that I stopped making some of the pessimistic predictions by saying, hey, with the current state of development, yeah, it won't happen. In the future, who knows? Look around, things progress quickly. But in this case, I don't think the rapid progress argument applies, because there's no rapid progress in the quality of enterprise data. There's no any progress sometimes. Occasionally I see regress in the quality of enterprise data used for security. So I've met somebody who was an old hand in SIEM, who used SIEM 20 years ago, and he lamented about how vendor A in 2004 had better quality of data than vendor S in 2024. So the result is that, yeah, sometimes when you need AI to apply, to make decisions, to support decisions, any quality you have will just not be sufficient. And I don't think changing the calendar from 25 to 27 would change that. Hence the informed skepticism, but yes, rapid progress, I agree.
Okay, I think I have to agree with you here in the sense that a lot of people think about autonomous SOC as something that is indeed incoming shortly, in the sense that the AI will make everything autonomous and there is no need for human interactions at all. And I agree with you that the Achilles heel of the AI models, and that's something we see ourselves, is the quality of the data that they have access to. Not everything is in the CMDB. When you work on contrived sandbox environment, you indeed have access to all that information. But I agree with you in the sense that the difficulty often lies in the fact that you simply don't have that in real production environment, which sometimes hinders the ability of the AI to be fully autonomous as we would hope for.
Right, and I think that argument isn't subject to what I said, the rapid progress argument. Like if AI improves by a factor of 10 million, but your data is still the same and your data still has gaps. Sorry, I don't think that's changing. So in that sense, the rapid progress argument that you can't predict what will happen in 2027 falls apart. Because if your data sources don't improve, then yes, I can predict that in 2027 you would be just as successful as today, but no more successful.
Completely aligned. And so actually, this is a good segue for my other question, which is, if we assume indeed that AI will never be perfect, okay, so that basically this perfectly autonomous system promise is still a bit far from us. How should that change the way we actually evaluate success today? What KPIs or mental models do you use to track whether an AI system is actually helping the organization where it is deployed or it's actually harming it?
I think I'll be a little bit boring, and I would call back to the good old days of SOAR, when people tried to understand automation versus doing things manually, automation, but you have to write the code. I think the productivity and efficiency argument is there. If you have a team of 3 and it does the work of the team of 10, by objective measure, it's a success. Like, I don't see why we need all that much more than that. Like, admittedly, there's a lot of nuance. Productivity measurement in SOC is tricky. You can be productive at things you shouldn't be doing. You can be really 5 times better at dispatching toil instead of preventing toil from appearing or handling toil at source. There's nuance. I'm not trying to say, hey, I got a metric as productivity. Yeah, I'm the smart guy. No. It's not that. But ultimately, if you're comparing heavily automated AI-infused approach, it better be better. So I'm sorry for it. Yeah, it better be better than what you have today. It can't be, well, it's better over here, but it's worse over there. Or it's better over here by a wide margin, but this really bad thing is still bad. I think that productivity for a team, effectiveness of a team, effectiveness is, again, has a lot of nuance, but productivity for a team is what I would do, what I would use. We did some research internally where certain incident response tasks are 53% more effective with GenAI. There's a Google, I think it's not a Google Cloud blog, it's a Google blog on some, and I think that's a perfect example. They got a task, and the task is now takes half the time. Brilliant. That's what I want, and it's objectively measured, and it's, you may not think it's 10x, and it isn't, it's 2x, but for people doing the work, it's quite amazing. So yeah. I think that's where my mind goes. My mind goes, I'm better off objectively as a team, as a capability, as a leader, as a person on the team, on the SOC. And yes, the caveat is still, are you better at things you shouldn't be doing? And that's a longer discussion.
Okay, that's very interesting. And actually, like, the numbers that you shared, the 53% improvement is actually close to what we measure ourselves. Like, we typically see, depending on cases, up to 60, 70%, sometimes a bit more, but it's clearly around that. And one other metric, though, I would have assumed could be important is actually some way to measure quality, maybe accuracy. What do you think about that? Like, is it for you an interesting metric to try to measure? Is it even feasible to really measure it in production? How would you see this?
I am interested in this. It is feasible, but there are challenges, and there's a lot of devil in the details kind of discussion, because I may say, doubled, I halved, I decreased by a factor of 10 false positives, and I'm better off, my signal is cleaner, but it doesn't automatically mean you, for example, detect the right things. So it does not have a one-liner pithy answer suitable for a 15-minute podcast. It does split into like my sort of a virtual colleague, Ellie Mellon from Forrester says, virtual meaning I wasn't at Forrester, I was Gartner. There's a set of SOC metrics, but there isn't like the SOC metric. There's no one SOC metric that you use in your success. There would be some of the time-based metrics, which are usually how something is done faster, better, you have coverage, you have other things. And if I think of some kind of a broad AI SOC vision, all of them would go up because of GenAI, because of AI, new forms of AI. So to me, this is, again, back to the argument of things would get better in many dimensions.
Okay, absolutely clear. All right, so actually, let's maybe now flip sides, and let's talk about human skills and how they would change actually over time, given the impact that AI can have on security operations. So my question is actually the following one. What's one human skill that would become actually more important in an AI-augmented SOC? Let's not talk about AI SOC or autonomous SOC, but rather AI-augmented SOC. Yeah. So what's one skill that would become more important? And on the other hand, what's one skill that would actually matter less from your point of view?
I think that skill is that would become more important is, again, sorry for being a bit cliche here, but it is some form of critical thinking and some form of being able to judge whether something is BS. I mean, today's AI and the AI of the near future will sometimes throw things that just aren't true, and we know it. You know, I used AI. I just came back from vacation. I had some really big successes with Gemini in a certain area of vacation planning, and I had some massive challenges with getting it to understand Italian trains because it was suggesting trains based on a generic schedule and not based on a schedule today, not think of strikes. Sorry for going far afield, but like AI would be wrong today, AI would be wrong tomorrow. I don't know, maybe long term, who knows? But for the foreseeable, AI would sometimes be wrong. And who would judge if it's wrong? The humans. And what should humans do for this they should have critical thinking. So to me, broad, general, little philosophical thing, but yes, sorry, I'm sticking to this. I'm sticking to the being able to critically judge the outputs, being able to critically judge other things.
Okay, so that's for the one that becomes more important. Is there any skill where you go, okay, this is something that we don't need to maintain in a way as humans because will take care of that?
So this is a funny one because I didn't have an immediate answer like critical thinking, but I had an answer which upon thinking I kind of want to almost not give. So let me try this.
Okay.
My answer was that you would need to look up things less. That you would have the agents, the machines, the automation, the APIs, blah, 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 whatever, will gather things and present them to you. So I wanted to give an answer that the need to rapidly look up things and rapidly know where to look things up would become less important. And that was my answer. But then I thought, okay, wait a second, Anton, you just said critical thinking. How do you gather the facts to judge whether AI is correct? You're going to do it by looking it up. And wait, you just said looking up is less important. So I think that I'm going to try to thread the needle a little bit and say that the routinely looking things up would become less important. But don't lose the muscle altogether, because sometimes you will need to look up things that don't pass muster, don't pass your intuition, don't trigger other anomalous kind of reactions. And so don't forget it, but you would do it less. I'll go with that.
Okay, extremely clear. So thank you very much, Anton, for your insights. And now it's the time actually for my favorite part of the episode, the fire round. So the idea is pretty simple. I will ask you a few questions and please answer them as quickly as you can with the first thing that actually comes to mind. Works for you?
Yes.
All right. So if we stick to security operations, what's one piece of advice you are tired of giving, but you still find yourself repeating it relatively often?
Don't collect what you don't need. Don't collect what you don't need. I think that's it has nuance, what you may need. Does not mean only collect what you use for detection. You may need some things for contest, but ultimately, even in this day and age of relatively cheap storage, don't collect what you don't need, because if you collect it, no matter what you use, somebody somewhere is paying for hard drives, and they're probably charging you for it. So that's the advice.
Okay, interesting. Question number 2. What's one security decisions that you believe organizations tend to delay for too long and actually regret it afterwards?
I think that if I stick to the area of SOC, I think that so all of us read the original Netflix SOC-less blog from 2018. And all the transformation to more engineering-led SOC, we published a paper. We have this whole thing called autonomic security operations, which is inspired by our engineering-led approach to DNR. The point is that people look at this and they think, wow, what a good idea. 2018 is 7 years ago, and some of the stuff we did is even older. But people still say, can I squeeze a little bit out of my current model, endless watching the screens and clicking things, and triage is now 10% faster. I think that rewriting or rebuilding DNR, detection and response, to a more engineering-led blueprint is delayed quite a bit, even by people who genuinely think positive thoughts about it. They just don't do all that much about it. Long story, it's kind of my fight now and for a good number of years, but it's also something that people react positively and then don't act on.
Okay, extremely clear. All right. And by the way, maybe AI could be a way to achieve that, in the sense that if you free up more time for security analysts, they could typically focus more on detection engineering. So that could be something that the AI helps with, in a sense.
Correct, yes, and that's absolutely true.
Perfect. So let's maybe move on to the last question. So what's actually, given your experience in the field, your extensive experience, what's one lesson that you have learned from working with SOCs that actually surprised you or even made you actually change your mind?
Okay, and I have something that I got, but I feel like something should be more positive would be handy, and mine is a little dark, and. Okay. Yeah, I'll go with dark, whatever. So this is 2025. We discuss AI, we discuss GenAI, we discuss all this transformation of business using AI. There are enough businesses that haven't really embraced cloud yet, and enough SOCs who kind of still don't get cloud. And I'm constantly shocked by that, because I think, oh yeah, here's my 2021 presentation about how SOC should encounter, who that encounters cloud for the first time should deal with it. And people say, oh yeah, great present, blah, blah. And then I think, well, in 2025, I don't feel good presenting this at a conference, because it feels kind of very past. And people say,
a bit old.
A bit old. And it's like, no. I think it's not like about how to log in Windows 2003. I think it's not that old, but it feels like we're in the middle of this upheaval, and this is the previous upheaval. Let me tell you that some people are still in the previous upheaval. For some people, cloud is new. For some SOCs, cloud is new. And I feel like this is the message that will be with us for a while. And if you encounter somebody whose SOC is struggling with new technology, you assume it's AI. But in real life, it's possible that new technology their SOC is struggling with is cloud. And that's the point that I want to make.
I agree. Okay, interesting. All right. So thank you very much for that answers and for all the other ones, actually. Anton, it's been a real pleasure to have you with us. And thank you everyone who has listened to this episode. It was Ahmed from Super SOC Podcast, and we will be back shortly with a new episode. Stay tuned and talk to you soon.
Perfect. Thanks for inviting me.